listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I'm your host, Barnabas.
And I am your creepy co-host, Samael.
You are indeed creepy as fuck.
Thanks, bro. Anyway, jack off. Welcome to episode 77. Tigers never forget. I thought elephants never forget.
I don't know. Tigers probably don't forget the things that they're hunting, which I guess is sort of thematic. Because of today's discussion, we're going to be reviewing the newest Shudder acquisition from director Issa López, which is called Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Yes, it was in our trailer segment a while back.
Yeah, we did talk about it, and then, it's been getting a lot of critical acclaim, even from big-time guys like Guillermo Del Toro, Stephen King, Neil Gaiman, and some others, really kind of like heavily fantasy influenced, like writers and directors and stuff. But
you could tell Del Toro likes this. I mean,
yeah.
Dude, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, dude, how is this not a Del Toro movie?
It's definitely heavily influenced, and we're going to get into all of that a little bit later in the show. Of course, first, however, we have to give a shout out to our gracious host network, Sports Radio Detroit.
Yes, and you can find them on sportsradiodetroit.com, their Twitter page, their Instagram, and their Facebook page. Just look up SRD, Sports Radio Detroit. That is SRD, Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio.
That's right, guys. So go check them out. Visit the website. You can see all the other awesome shows as well as Grave Discussions on there. And now we just have a few sponsored messages. They're going to be real brief, and then we'll have an uninterrupted show. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with Grave Discussions. Here at Grave Discussions, we know that addiction can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Detox Helpline help you break your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Call the addiction specialist now at the Detox and Treatment Helpline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
They're always available for you, and if you have private insurance, they specialize in finding you the right treatment. Give them a call at 1-800-213-9257. That is 800-213-9257.
Hi, this is Chris.
And this is Roger.
And if you like Tigers baseball, Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, analytics, pop culture references, movies, sports, food, check us out. Look for Tigers SRD on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify.
Hey, Samuel.
Hey, Barnabas, what's up?
Oh, not much. Have you ever written a book?
No, but I've written a musical.
Oh, well, you can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company.
Aha, I hear countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their books to the market.
Their professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, their authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books.
So, make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Do not wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author.
And seeing your name in print.
Aha! You've already written a book. Next thing to do is make this free call now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
The number is 1-800-213-9259. Again, 1-800-213-9259. All right, Sam. So, as always, there's been a lot going on in the world of horror over this past week or so since we had our last episode. And this first article is actually pretty cool. There's going to be a bunch of new adaptations and projects and stuff. The first one, classic show, Dark Shadows, going to be returning with Dark Shadows Reincarnation. But here's the kicker. It's going to be on the CW.
I just watched that I watched the, Johnny Depp one about a month ago. So it's crazy now that they're announcing like they're doing a show now that's more of a really like living up, I guess, to the original show, or trying to.
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be something of a sequel, so not really a reboot, which is good. Because I think the original show pretty much ended, but it had over it was like some crazy ass amount of episodes, like over 1,500 episodes or something like that, just because it went on for so long. And which, I mean, I'm probably never going to be able to watch that entire thing, but it has a big cult fan base. A lot of people watched that show growing up, and so a lot of people are excited for this return. Personally, yeah, I've only ever seen the Johnny Depp one as well, but I really like that movie too. It's pretty funny. The effects are cool. Johnny Depp as a vampire is cool.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So I'm kind of pumped for this. Hopefully this will be still kind of gentle for like the newer fans of the series, but I mean, how do you feel about it being on the CW?
I just hope it doesn't get too like teeny bopper-ish, you know what I mean? Because I mean, Vampire Diaries and then Supernatural kind of like they're just spawning all these like fangirls and stuff, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, a lot of shows just catering to the fans, which I mean, that's what they exist for, is for the fans, but not necessarily to just cater to their every whim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll see how it does on that front. If it's just like a bunch of random teenager bullshit, then yeah, I don't know about it, but hopefully, it stays pretty faithful to like the vibe of the original series. That's all I pretty much want. That like creepy gothic kind of style, vibe. So.
What if it's modern and they're in like a duplex?
It says it's going to be like a modern day continuation, but I think it really just depends how they approach it. You know what I mean?
Well, we're getting out of this castle. Let's get a 2-story house.
Yeah, it does say sexy. So, I mean, I don't know how, they handled it back in whatever, the 70s or whatever, but yeah, we'll see. Be on the lookout for that one, guys, on the CW. Next up, this one is pretty cool. David Slade. I first read that as David Spade, and I was like, what the fuck is he doing? But David Slade is going to be directing an adaptation of Dark Harvest, which is a Halloween horror novel, which is pretty cool.
I'm pretty excited because it's supposed to be set on Halloween night in 1963, which is like, when you think about it, the ideal time for Halloween. It was the 60s. Everyone's still out and about. No one's on their phones. There's like no fucking 3D Halloween decorations popping off the second story, scaring the shit out of a bunch of 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's going to be like really what I remembered like watching growing up, like pre-90s Halloween, even pre-80s Halloween, like, because that's when it was like way more festive. Now it's more commercialized and stuff, but oh well, we'll see. I'm pretty excited about this. Just the villain's name. Come on, bro.
Yeah, so the book is set in 1963 in a small Midwestern town where teenage boys eagerly square off with the butcher knife wielding October Boy, a.k.a. Old Hacksaw Face, a.k.a. Sawtooth Jack. I think if he was just called Sawtooth Jack, like that would be cooler. Sick. I don't know why he needs like
October
3.
Boy. He's like Michi Darko, Jesus Christ, aka Two Cup Shakur, aka like Daddy Guerrero.
Different personas or whatever. Yeah, I don't know about all that, but still sounds pretty cool. The book cover is of like this like jack-o'-lantern. It's got some shit inside. It's just like on fire or something. And yeah, I don't know. It sounds cool. It says the October Boy is the prize in an annual rite of life and death. So it's something like these kids got to kill this entity or thing or whatever it is for some reason. So it's a pretty cool concept. I've never really like heard of that kind of concept necessarily.
That's sick. Well, there's another movie coming out, and I saw it available for pre-order on Amazon Prime. The Legend of Halloween Jack. Like,
oh, okay. I mean, I guess it fits. I don't know. It sounds like it's going to be one of those just shitty, like, B movies.
I think it's going to be like that one movie. I don't know if you're watching Night of the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Not Dark Night of the Scarecrow, but just Night of the Scarecrow from the 90s.
Maybe not.
It's like there's just... It's stupid. Never mind. I don't know. But it's good.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, check out Dark Harvest when that comes out. It was really just announced that it's going to be done, so we don't have much more information, but I'm excited about David Slade doing it. He directed, says credits include Hard Candy, 30 Days of Night, which I loved. He worked on Hannibal and on Black Mirror Bandersnatch as well.
Oh,
so,
shit.
Yeah, he's pretty accomplished, so I think that one could be pretty solid. And the last article actually probably is the one I'm most excited about. So why don't you tell us about this one, Sam?
So we are getting 4 sequels to Never Hike Alone by Womp Stomp Films.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, this one falling into the fan fiction kind of horror genre, but you know what? The original kind of blew up. It was actually really good.
Yeah, we got the Blu-ray release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're actually going to be re-releasing it.
They're funding the second one right now, Never Hike in the Winter.
Yeah.
I think they're trying
Never
to
Hike in the Snow, I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
The snow,
Yeah.
cold, but they're going for $50K, and you know they're going to get way more than that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of people also really like Never Hike Alone. This one finally going to be giving us Jason in the snow, like I think a lot of people wanted.
And this one's a prequel.
Yeah.
It's like 3 months before Never Hike Alone.
Right. So that's really cool. We're going to see Jason just tear shit up. It does kind of imply that there's going to be no Tommy Jarvis, but
Never Hike Alone Part 2 might.
Possibly at the end.
And 3.
But yeah, 3 is called Jason Takes Crystal Lake. And Never Hike Alone 4 is going to be called The Final Hike. And on the posters of 3 and 4, you actually do see Tommy Jarvis. So I think those are going to be like, you know, the sequels to Never Hike Alone.
I'm surprised they got him to come back for these fan films.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
You could tell he cares about like the franchise and appreciation like that the fans have for Tommy and CJ Graham and everyone that was involved in Part 6, because that's arguably the best Friday the 13th film.
Yeah. It's my personal favorite, and
same.
I think it's what most people, at least most of like the more serious horror fans, you know, think of when they think of Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th and whatnot, because that's, you know, Jason versus Tommy and etc. And the birth of, you know, Jason as he's kind of known.
The
right
zombie,
now.
Deadite Jason. Yeah,
So,
it was the first one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's cool that they're continuing the saga with this. I think that Tom Matthews, you know, probably also feels like he's coming into this to continue that story, since all the legal trouble and everything is holding up the actual main franchise. But yeah, no, this is super dope. Right now, as Sam mentioned, there's funding going on for Never Hike in the Snow, and you can fund that. There's a lot of cool perks and stuff like that. You know, we're not being paid to promote this like fundraising campaign or anything, but we do think it's cool. It is news. And if you guys are fans of the franchise, I mean, I'm definitely going to donate. I suggest you guys donate.
Yeah, I'm going to get that Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Plus, like, for us, it's not even about, yeah, we're not getting paid to, like, shout them out, but, like we said, we are a part of the horror community. We're, like, diehard fans.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see something that we like and we want it to get, like, known, we're definitely going to shout it out. Like,
yeah, for sure. So, guys, go check out the page for that where you can donate and everything. I believe it's on Indiegogo. And yeah, stay tuned for more info on it. But we have a few trailers to go through. We'll go through these pretty quickly here, and then we'll get into our main segment. The first trailer is for The Gallows Act 2.
Charlie.
Yeah. This one's coming out October 25th in theaters, on demand, and digital. And yes, it is going to be a follow-up to The Gallows, which, you know what, a lot of people shit on it. I found it okay, but I was just disappointed because I think it had a lot more potential. And this trailer actually doesn't give away too much. Looks like it's going to go at least somewhat away from the school, a little bit away from the found footage thing, but not entirely one of those.
It looked like you can easily spoof it, though. Like, if you were going to make a... Because, like, so The Gallows Act 2... I thought that premise was going to be like our second trailer before we even saw the second trailer. Like, they were fucking around, they were lying about it. That's why everything started shaking and swinging, because like in a lot of horror movies that are not cliche, that doesn't happen. Like the shaking of the floor and then like candles swinging, like it's just like really subtle little things that add to like the tension. But this one was just like, nope, it's haunted for sure. Like,
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I thought it was going to be bogus at first. Like, all right, guys, nice footage. Like,
it looks already like it has a little bit more potential than the first film. From what we did see, it looked okay. Like the cinematography and stuff looked all right. I don't know how I feel about it going completely away. Not completely, but going away somewhat from the found footage thing and trying to be one of those hybrid style horror films. It could work. It might not work, depending on if the story is shit or not.
Yeah.
Like if they execute it properly.
The way that it looks like some unfriended / paranormal activity / Ouija type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's going to suck if you're like one of those artsy people that are looking for something deep. Like, it has to be experimental horror to be good, man. Like, or if you're just trying to sit down and see some demons and ghosts and like get some nice jump scares.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, the first one was pretty much like that, so I think this one probably is going to be the same thing, especially since it's concerning these, dumb teenage kids.
Really reminds me of the first Ouija.
Yeah,
like
kind
the
of.
vibe.
Yeah, I feel that. So, yeah, guys, I mean, if you enjoyed the first one, or if you check out this trailer and you think, maybe, it's coming out October 25th. The next trailer is called The Cleansing Hour, and this one is coming to Shudder in 2020. We don't have a firm date yet, but this is going to be an exorcism style one with kind of a unique concept.
It looks like The Last Exorcism, even the premise. Let's be real. If The Last Exorcism wasn't found footage and it was just a regular movie, it would be this.
Yeah, so essentially The Cleansing Hour is about this web podcast. It's like video. I guess they like live stream these exorcisms,
quote unquote.
Yeah, but you learn that they're like very obviously like staged behind the scenes and everything. And then of course there's like a real demon, and then they have to like exercise.
Are you telling me that there was a real demon?
There's a real demon there.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, but that part seems like, that's kind of a dumb twist, but it looks cool. It seems like there's going to be some decent practical effects, maybe even some decent CGI, and it looks like it's going to be isolated to this like studio.
I like that.
Kind of cool.
See, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because like The Last Exorcism wasn't really isolated. They were traveling around and like walking through like the forest and shit. Like at one point, and it's like, and then they find a ritual, and it's like, that's cool. But like, I really enjoy these like isolated, just for fun movies. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Possession of Hannah Grace, all those type of things. So
it amps up the tension for sure. And this one looks even smaller. It's like this one room almost, like it's confined to. I wonder if we're going to see anything outside of that, but we'll see. So that aspect actually looks kind of cool. I mean, imagine being stuck with a fucking demon in just like this room or something, and you can't get out or whatever, So, yeah, that one looks cool. Again, 2020 on Shudder. And we'll let you guys know once there's like a firm date. And the last one is coming to Netflix October 4th. And this is another Stephen King adaptation of a novella along with his son Joe Hill called In the Tall Grass.
That one looks pretty interesting. It does seem like some Stephen King shit. I mean, hey, something's going on. What's going on? I don't know. Let's just keep doing things and figure it out. That's the type of movie that is.
Yeah, kind of. So from what it appears like, this couple pulls over on the side of the road for some reason. It looks like the woman is pregnant, so maybe she was, having some labor pains or had to throw up or something. I don't know, but there's this like almost endless field of really tall grass, and they hear some like boy's voice from it saying, "Help me." And so, of course, they go into this tall grass after him, and then crazy shit starts happening. They get like trapped there or something, but the trailer kind of offers a pretty cool atmosphere, in my opinion, kind of like darker,
like
serious in tone,
like Pumpkinhead-ish.
Yeah,
it's just dark, like for the like 3/4 of the movie, I want to say, or 3/5 of the movie
for sure. And it seems like it's gonna try to like kind of give you anxiety with them being lost in the grass and everything, which can definitely be anxiety.
I think it's more of that like fear of the unknown, like we don't know what's in the tall grass, as they tried to like allude to in the trailer. Like the little kid was like shh, and then no one moved, and then this lady moved, and then saw another lady in the grass and was like, So.
Yeah, definitely some supernatural factors. Maybe like some interdimensional shit or something. Patrick Wilson's in it, so I'll probably watch it just for him anyway. But it actually looks like it has a decent potential. So again, October 4th on Netflix for that one. And that's going to do it for all the news and trailers this week, guys. There's been a lot, as always. And we've been away for a little bit, but we're coming back now. Take a minute, go pee or do whatever you got to do.
Unless you're driving, then close your eyes for 10 seconds.
Yeah,
then,
don't pee.
Get excited. Let's see what it's like. 10 seconds, you can't see the road.
No, man.
Play that game.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Maybe like 5 seconds.
Do it.
No, but we'll be back in just a sec with our review of Tigers Are Not Afraid. Stick around. All right, fiends. So this week's discussion is going to be about Issa López's debut feature film, Tigers Are Not Afraid. And this one, we referenced Del Toro earlier, definitely has a similar kind of vibe because Tigers Are Not Afraid is about this group of orphan kids who are trying to escape not only Mexican drug lords, but also the ghosts of their past. And this one's definitely presented more of like a fairy tale with some horror elements and some drama. And it plays definitely similar to a Del Toro film, so why don't we get that comparison out of the way here first?
Yeah, because anyone who watches this, if you know anything about these type of movies, the very first thing is you're gonna think, oh, Del Toro, but just put that aside and just focus on the story, focus on what's going on. A lot of shit going down over there in Mexico. So this little girl and her whole class and her teacher jump down to the floor while there's like a school shooting. Reality check, doesn't only happen in America.
Right.
And then her teacher gives her 3 pieces of broken chalk saying, here's 3 wishes. Yada, yada, yada. You see the girl go home. She has like a flashback of talking to her mom or whatever. She's like, I want that bracelet. When can I have it? And the mom's like, basically, when I die. Like, It's kind of dickish. I mean, I don't care what I'm wearing if my grandma gave it to me or whoever the fuck. If my kid's like, I like your necklace. Can I have it? I'm like, sure, here. It's my kid. Here, take it. What's yours is mine. What's mine is yours. And then she like runs away from home because she doesn't want to be there because her mom is dead. And then she starts hanging out with these like ne'er-do-well boys who like steal pistols and cell phones from like crime, like organized crime members and stuff.
Yeah.
It all goes like it's kind of slow paced when you think about it. Like there's a lot of like exposition and stuff, but I didn't see anything too wrong with the movie. I like how it unfolds. I just wish there was like a little bit more horror elements besides like creepy faces and poltergeists.
Yeah, I think definitely the horror stuff is supposed to be more like realistic, which it definitely is. I mean, this movie doesn't really play around with, trying to be like PC or trying to really like cater anybody's feelings or anything like that. It's pretty raw and it's pretty straight up. And I think, Issa López was really trying to portray that horror more through the realistic stuff. And the whole the specters and all that kind of stuff is really just supposed to be representative of the people that are lost and the people who died before their time in this like terrible drug war and everything, and and mixed with that fairy tale stuff, because before the shooting and everything at the beginning, we see the main kid of the orphan group shine, and he's doing like graffiti, and there's like the tiger that's
the moving tiger,
really central theme
life,
yep,
essentially.
So we see that kind of stuff, so we already are led into seeing this as sort of like a fantasy with these like magical elements and everything, and the tiger represents basically that bravery, that courage, and having to kind of like stand up and rise above your fears and everything. And that's really kind of the whole gist of this film, as these kids are basically fighting against a Mexican like cartel essentially,
And one of them's like running for office.
Yeah, we won't dive too much into that, without giving spoilers, but yeah, it's a whole thing. These kids get caught up in this, and it probably can really happen. I mean, not in this way, obviously, but this is meant to be something that like happens every day in real life, like down in Mexico and whatever with the drug war. Kids really become orphans because of shit that happens like this. And I think the movie does a pretty good job of like making us realize that, but also keeping us kind of in check with all the fantasy and fairy tale elements and everything, which is good. I mean, we see Estrella, who's the lead girl. It's kind of hard to determine, but this is really like her fairy tale that's kind of playing out, because in the beginning we even overhear her kind of telling this story as like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And with the 3 wishes and everything, I thought that was a cool plot element, where it was the wishes, because that keeps kind of driving home that fairy tale element and everything. Like that's something that could definitely be present in a fairy tale.
Oh yeah.
But it's also kind of relevant in real life too, because real life in a shitty situation, you're always like, damn, I wish this, I wish that.
Yeah, it's just really escaping reality.
Yeah.
And creating your own, in a sense, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big factor here. But we see throughout, we won't go too deep into it, but
yeah, I don't want to spoil it if people are actually planning on watching it.
Yeah, but
don't expect like a gritty, terrifying, atmospheric horror movie. It's like a sociological like message,
Yeah.
At least about that part of the world where people seem to like turn a blind eye to all the horrors that are going down on there, and what people really have to do to survive down there, and like the type of courage you need to really live in an environment like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we even see, I was going to say, the wishes kind of don't go always as smoothly as, she plans. And I'm not going to expand much more than that, but it's definitely got kind of that depressing air to it, just because, you still kind of can't help but think in the back of your head, like, oh, this is really kind of happening out in the real world. And, people are really losing their lives over shit like this. The thing that I kind of liked was that it wasn't too like big in scope.
Yeah.
Because even though this was about like, kind of below the surface about the drug war and everything like that down there, we really only just kind of saw it from the perspective of this group of orphans and like a few of these gang members, so even though it was just that and everything else was really just like desolate and everything, it kept it focused and confined, and it wasn't like this huge crazy plot. So I actually liked that.
Yeah, and the runtime was like an hour and 28 minutes too.
Yeah.
Not counting credits, it was about an hour and 24 minutes, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Much less longer than Beelzebub, for example.
Yeah.
It Chapter 2, It Chapter 1.
Yeah, It Chapter 2 for sure. It was like an hour.
Like you said, I think the fact that their scope was so narrow for this, and that they didn't touch upon like every other member of the community, is what really made this movie like a lot more enjoyable than like other movies. Like I said, even like the plot and like the way it unfolds. We were talking about Del Toro. This really reminds me of Devil's Backbone.
Yeah.
Like this seems like a homage to that.
For sure. I mean, that movie,
like you said though earlier when we were talking before the podcast, modern day though.
Yeah, because that movie dealt with these like orphan kids and everything too, just in a different
was Del Toro an orphan?
You know what?
Because all his movies are about orphans.
Yeah, maybe I'd have to look into that. Actually, I don't know that. If you guys know that, let us know. But I wouldn't be surprised actually. But yeah, that movie dealt with these orphan kids too, but in a different time period. And during the beginning, really, of like the Spanish Civil War. It's not even set in Mexico, but definitely draws comparisons for that wartime horror stuff.
Yeah.
And I was actually reading like a couple articles, really skimming through them, really, but a lot of them talking about how like World War I really actually kind of caused a lot of what you would see in like horror movies that started coming out around that time, like the phantasms and everything, like those kinds of figures and entities and things like that were portrayed, supposed to be indicative of like all the soldiers that lost their lives in the war and everything like that, which is really interesting. So I think that that's kind of why these movies about like this subject matter kind of take that shape, you know, with all the ghosts and the fantasy stuff and everything like that. So, I mean, that was pretty interesting. But going back to like the runtime too, I liked the runtime, and I actually thought the pacing was actually not too bad. Maybe during some of those scenes where they're like just talking.
Yeah,
I
was gonna say there's a lot of scenes of just talking where like nothing really happens, but they don't drag on.
No,
there's a lot of exposition though with like the camera and then what's in the phone, what's the footage. Oh no, we gotta tell what's her name. Hey, look what's in here.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, apart from that, like obvious plot progression stuff, some of it was okay because I actually liked the character development between like the kids and everything. You know, as they kind of like took on Estrella and everything. Like that was pretty well done.
Made the ending kind of more sad.
Yeah.
What happened to those two kids that ran away? We never knew their fate.
Oh yeah, I guess you just assume they got stuck somewhere else. But you know, I don't know. I thought that their bonding and everything was good. I think the fact that they weren't really actors also kind of helped that because they probably bonded on set. You know, they became friends through just acting together. So yeah, I mean, the actual cast list not super extensive in this movie, and I think the kids at least never really had any prior acting experience, so that just makes it more natural to me, honestly, with like the setting and
I like that,
the drug war and everything as the backdrop. Because yeah, they probably had to like really act scared as fuck, you know. So yeah, that was good. Other elements, score, cinematography. What'd you think about those?
I didn't hear anything really that stood out for the score. I thought the cinematography was really nice, especially like for an independent movie. It seemed like more like a Hollywood-ish movie. Like to me, solely just because of the cinematography. From the beginning, you could tell the cinematography was going to be superb. Like there were like extremely nice shots. There was no like shaky camera, no like fucking from the floor up angles looking up at people. That annoying shit you see on those sci-fi channel movies. So I think the cinematography was great. I don't remember the score much. The acting was great, as far as I can tell. I don't know, like in Spanish, how Spanish people would view this, if good acting or not, because like, can't really tell when it's like in a different language. Honestly, how people would react to certain situations. I like the kids' chemistry. There was a lot of character development for such a short movie, and I just wish it was like scarier. You know what I mean? I know it was supposed to be more of like a fantasy crime drama, but still,
yeah, again,
it's on Shudder.
I do agree to an extent, but I also was trying to approach it as, you know, like from these kids' perspective, and I mean everything that happened to them would have been really terrifying, even though these kids were kind of like hardened by the streets, at least like the group of boys. You know, that would still be kind of a crazy situation to be in, and the stuff that we saw with Estrella, like the horror stuff. I mean, we could talk about that at length, but you know, then we'd be getting into like spoilers and things like that. But yeah, I thought it was okay. There were a couple pretty creepy scenes, you know, but again, I think that the whole drug war backdrop and everything with the gang was really supposed to be more of like the vehicle, and the rest of it was just supposed to be kind of like how she experienced everything. You know what I mean? But I still found some of the scenes cool with like the ghost. I won't say who she was or anything, but there were a couple of pretty cool scenes. There were a few kind of cliche scenes, like at the house with her shadow.
Yeah,
but even those I think were okay. Like the angle was low and it was kind of like a wide at that one point. That was kind of cool. But yeah, overall I would have liked maybe a few more scenes.
I think it was good for me, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, the acting and everything was good. I liked it just from like their reactions and the body language and how they interacted and everything.
Yeah, it seemed like it was real.
Yeah.
You almost forget that you're watching a movie with these like foreign films, because like the actors like seem more passionate because like they're not too distracted by the amount of money it's gonna make. Like over here in America, all the actors like put all these dollar figures and what they think they're worth. That's why I'd rather see people who are like really passionate about a project, especially in the horror community, to just act it all out and not be concerned with I mean, sure, don't get paid less than you're worth, but like, I'm saying to the famous actors, fuck it. If you like horror, join a project where you're not going to make that much money and just be in the horror film. Get them some notoriety if you're a real fucking fan, like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was thinking, like, damn, would Johnny Depp play Barnabas in Dark Shadows on CW50? And I thought about it. It's like, no, he wouldn't, because they wouldn't be paying him what he'd be asking for. And it's like, well, that's fair, I guess, but why not just play the fucking character? I guess if he gets called for another movie role, it's going to be difficult and stuff like that. Well, I don't know. Like I said, that's why horror movies from, like, other countries seem more passionate. They don't really seem concerned about the money. They just seem like really focused on doing what they're doing. You can tell they're appreciative of the art. So
yeah, stuff like this too. Issa López actually.
Yeah, it's serious subject matter, obviously.
Yeah, and her mother actually, I believe, died when she was younger, and she grew up in Mexico and everything.
So Estrella was like the embodiment of her emotions, and
Kinda,
maybe like a metaphorical representation about what she had to go through without a mother.
Yeah, I think I read that she didn't really approach it as like a personal story, but someone kind of mentioned it to her, like, yeah, this is like your story, and she was like, oh wow, you're right. But also I think it's pride for her country, but also kind of an observation of it in the midst of this drug war and everything. So I think it's kind of a mixture of all that stuff, but it definitely feels like she made this movie for a reason.
Yeah, it's like an informative piece about like what kids go through in like countries like that and stuff they can't shield themselves from that they'll eventually have to face, probably if they decide, to live the way that they live over there.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they have a choice, if you're born in like a really poor area with like, drugs is the focus. I mean, unless you find the way out of there, you're really going to be stuck there. You can't really just work your way around that unless you dabble in some stuff too, so
right.
It's rough.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it because it's kind of like a little spoiler, but there was like a scene with some authority in it, and it was kind of an eye-opening scene.
Yeah, because even the authority didn't want to touch what was going on.
Right. So yeah, it's tough for sure. I mean, there are parts of this movie that aren't like necessarily hard to sit through, but they can definitely be a little shocking to watch and witness, and kind of realize like, oh man, this is kind of like really, what people are going through down there. But yeah, it's heavy for sure. But I ultimately found it really enjoyable. I thought it was a good film. I guess you can argue about the horror stuff. Yeah, I agree. There could have been more of it. Could have been a little bit scarier. But looking at it from the kids' perspective, definitely some scary stuff in it. And I recommend it. I would probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10.
It was a solid 8 out of 10 for me. For me, it's like I'm not really into those like crime fantasy movies. Like I like Devil's Backbone, but like I don't want to watch it again for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I watched The Orphanage, and it was kind of similar vibe, just a little bit more depressing. Not so much about the war, more about like spooky ghosties. But I don't know. I wouldn't pass on this one unless you're looking for like a straight horror movie. Like, if you want a straight up horror movie, don't watch this. If you want to watch a good movie, just in general, you should watch it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to say for sure.
You're just one of those assholes. I don't like to read subtitles, and you're a piece of shit, and I hate you. Don't fucking read anything then.
I guess it's not for you.
Hate
one of those people. If you're one of those people. I never really understood it either. But yeah, if you want like a brain dead horror movie that's not foreign, then I guess this isn't gonna be your cup of tea. But this is definitely a good film. It's heavy on the subject matter. It's pretty dark, but it's really well done. You can tell that everybody who was involved in it, really was passionate about it. So yeah, I dig it. Tigers Are Not Afraid. Go check it out if you have Shudder, which you should. And that's all I have to say about it. I think we pretty much covered everything we needed to cover. So.
Yeah, we touched every base we need to cover. That's a home run there.
Yeah, for sure. So go check it out, guys. Let us know what you thought about it. And you can also talk to us about all the news articles and trailers that we talked about earlier. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by just searching Grave Discussions or Gravedisc SRD on Twitter. And check out the website, gravediscussions.net as well. We just put up a new Cult Corner article And we're going to be having a new chopping block article coming out pretty soon, so bookmark it.
Yes, and hopefully, so it shipped out yesterday. I just checked. So hopefully we can watch Candy Corn by next week and maybe cover that one.
Yeah, be on the lookout, guys.
Because you know us and those Halloween-centered movies. We're going to be talking about them all October long. From Halloween Town to Night of the Demons to fucking... What's another fucking...
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat, Halloween.
Yep.
All of it, everything. So make sure you stay tuned next week, the week after that, and the week after that, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one on Grave Discussion. We're going to be carving pumpkins.
This has been an SRD production.